Hey y'all, we are on our very last morning. We are on day 5 of rehydrating our sourdough starter. So I think you guys just watched. If you fast forward through it, that's fine. I did a little elapsed video of her yesterday for 8 hours and she amazes me. Like, we're doing good. We have lots of activity, lots of bubble, all sizes. She more than doubled. And this is the level-in that needs to puff the bread when you bake. And if you can tell, the starter grew. You can see where she is, and then she deflated. And that means it's hungry. That's a really good sign. It means she's doing what we need. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. Should have done it before I turned you on. But I forgot to. I was just dusting, so I'm like, let's wash. Okay. So day 5, our last day of discarding, and she is ready to go. Because guess what you get to do on day 6? You get to bake. So that means make sure today you guys get everything ready for baking tomorrow. So look at her. I'm going to turn this light on over here. It seems to help looking down in her. Look at, can you see all those little bubbles? And you can see where she's hungry. She's even got a little bit of hooch starting. It's the little clear liquid. Now hooch can be colored as she sits longer and gets more hungry. It'll darken up. Let's smell her. Oh yeah, she's smelling good too. But she is ready to be fed. So let's see what we got going on here. We got 567, so that means we have 130 grams. Today we're gonna discard down to 50. I want you guys to get really used to, don't keep more than 50 grams in there. I try to keep 25, but 50 is ideal. Any more than that, you're just getting your starter fat and happy, or fat and lazy. And she's not gonna perform like she should. So unless you're baking like double loaves or multiple things a day, you don't ever need to keep more than 50 grams in this starter. If you guys watch any of my posts, I say that all the time. So let's throw some of her away. We're gonna get her down to 485, because we know the jar weighs 436. And I threw it in the trash still, just because I'm on my rehydration. But tomorrow you can start keeping it in a discard jar. But like I said, if you keep your sourdough starter down to 25, 50, you'll have very little discard. Like, I don't even have a discard jar anymore. Yes, I still make discard recipes. I just use my starter I have. We're almost there. This would be easier if I just dished it out on the scale for you guys. But, you know, I like to make it hard every now and then. I was dusting and now I've got allergies, so if you can hear me sniffling, I apologize. Okay, I'm slightly over and I'm just fine with that. But get it down to 50 if you guys are just doing it right there. See, look at her. I'll go see if I can take 10 out, so I'll be right with y'all. All right, this should get us there. So 50 grams, and we're almost perfect. Oh, we are perfect, because 36 and 50 would be 86. So yep, we're perfect. So we're gonna feed 50 water and 50 flour. This is our ratio that you should almost always do. If you start having issues with your starter, that's when you change it. Again, room temperature water. I went slightly over. And then we're gonna shake her today. because she was so hungry in that house. She was so active yesterday. I was so proud of her. I did a little race between her and her mom, Miss Fran. She's who she's made from. And it was funny because they doubled, like you saw it, they doubled almost equally. Like equally as fast, equally as quickly. But then Miss Fran, the mom, she kept growing. And then Frances here, she stopped. She's like, okay, I'm done. But she didn't sink. She still had lots of activity, lots of activity. But she was like, I'm not growing anymore. I've done hit my limit. And then the mom kept growing. And then she started sinking. But Miss Frances, the baby, the one we're working on right now, she stayed like doubled for a long time. She didn't grow anymore, but she stayed puffy a lot longer than her mom. I was like pretty impressed with that. So she's got the endurance. I laughed. I said, oh, look, it's just like in real life. My daughter can go and go and go. And I have to give up the ghost. That was just me. I thought it was fun to watch that. All right, I've got her all shaked up. If you're just stirring, that's fine. I just wanted to try to get some of that yuck off the edges. And now we're going to do 50 flour. So we got 50 today. She's going to double, and then she's going to sink back down. So tomorrow morning, when you guys are ready to bake, start making your dough, you have the choice of either discarding. You should have about, I'm guessing we'll have about 100 in there tomorrow morning. So you can either discard down to 50, but like I said, if you're making a dough tomorrow, see what your recipe calls for. Most sourdough recipes want 100 to 200. If you're using my recipe, you want 100. So don't discard in the morning tomorrow. Just weigh her, measure her out. Say it's 100, give her 100 water, give her 100 flour, and then let her double. And as soon as she doubles, you guys are good to start that dough. And since she's still young, you're going to want to do the bulk fermentation. Like, you're going to mix it all up. She's going to rest. And then you're going to do stretch and folds about every 45 minutes to an hour. You need to get at least 3 sets of those in there. And then she's going to bulk ferment. If your house is 70 degrees or below her, you can do it on the counter, no issues whatsoever. But with her being so young, you really, really want to do it in the refrigerator overnight. So by tomorrow, I'm going to say, like right before dinner, you'll want to start making your dough. Make sure she's still active. She's got bubbles. She hasn't shrunk on you. And then start making your dough. And then so right before you go to bed, you can just wrap it up, cover it, and stick it in the fridge for the next day. And then here's the next thing. If you are wanting to try a banton, making it the pretty loaf, like right from the get-go, take it out of the refrigerator and you're going to do a second proof. You're going to make your dough, and then you're going to put it in the banton, and you're going to let it set in there for like 2 to 3 hours. And then that's when you'll bake. But if you're not, you can go right to baking from the fridge. So I'm sure you see that in the recipe. But if you're kind of confused on, well, when do I do my banton? It's after you bulk ferment. So you'll have a second proof if you're going to use a decorative vessel to proof in. Not that y'all wanted any of that, and I probably just overwhelmed the heck out of you, but I was talking. You know how I like to do that. All right, scraping down my sides, got her all stirred. Water's incorporated, flour's all incorporated. Could you imagine putting vinegar in here? It smells vinegary, so my brain is all excited about that. So we're gonna mark her. I think it's pretty good. I don't think I have to move it because it's the same that it was yesterday, just slightly bigger. Can you guys see what I'm talking about? See the line? where she's at. It just sits right on top of where her fullness. But make sure it's not the dry. Like if you look inside, you can see. Just so you know when she doubles. Then we're going to cover her and set her aside for the day. And tomorrow morning when you get up, like I said, look at your recipe, decide how much you're going to need, if you're going to need to discard, or if you just need to double what you got. So let's say it's tomorrow morning, we get up. We're going to bake. We need 100 grams to bake the bread that you're looking at. So right now, you've got 100 and roughly 70 grams of starter. So if you doubled that, you're going to end up with, what is that, 340? So you could discard down. I would discard down to probably 50 or 60, so I didn't have to waste a bunch of flour and she didn't have to work really hard. And then I'd put my flour and water in and stir it up. And then I would have just enough to make my dough and then have extra in my jar. I hope that makes sense. But that's how you do it, where you don't have 5,000 jars of discard. But if you like discard bacon, which there's some really good recipes, discard banana bread is one of my favorites. All right, I hope y'all have a great day. Just the one time feeding today, let her do her business. Tomorrow you can start baking.